night I passed away. And I actually saw my body come up out of my body. And I can, believe it or not, I was floating over my body.
I believe it. I believe it.
I'm Tomeka Waye. I'm here on the prowl at Instincts PONDCast with Beane. Hear my story.
It's a great day to change lives. Back with the Instincts PONDCast. And as you know, we turn tribulations into celebrations. And I have a very special guest today that I've known for over 30 years.
30
years. Out over 30 years now, man. Tomeka Waye is in the building, and wait until you hear her story of perseverance, resilience, dedication, and I tell you, it's been some ups and downs, but I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin it. Our first question, as usual, we get right into it, is we all have challenges.
Right.
People see us sitting here today. We're smiling on the podcast. We're having some fun, but we all go through something. And the name of the game is to inspire people who don't believe that you have to overcome struggle in order to be successful.
Right.
Arguably, what is the most challenging thing you've had to overcome? That's question one. And question two is, how did you overcome it?
The most challenging thing I would have to is living with lupus.
Wow.
And I had to take a step back for a while because I fell into a deep depression for a few months, and it took my mother to bring me out of it because I felt like God was punishing me for something I may have done or said in the past. And it was a very hard thing to deal with, knowing that the doctor said that I was not going to live long.
And when was that? Because you're here, so let's prove him wrong.
Yes.
When did he say that?
This was almost 25 years ago.
And did he actually tell you how long you had?
He said that most people after diagnosis die within 10 years.
Doubled
and a half. Doubled that and a half.
Wow. So
it was hard.
Of course.
Believe me, it was hard. But it was faith that carried me.
Absolutely.
It was
Absolutely.
faith.
So what I want to do first, you just answered the second question, which is, how did you overcome it? Let's tap into it a little more, though.
Okay.
Obviously, you have to have faith, but if you had to give people 2 or 3 sentences on how you came up out of that depression, because a lot of people right now, they may not admit it, but they've gone through it, are in it right now, or they may be in it one day. How did you overcome that depression?
Prayer, and it takes, family and friends to help you go through it. That's the most important thing, to have somebody there with you. They can't actually do anything to help you, but having someone there to listen to you and be there for you, makes all the difference in the world on how you think and how you overcome everything.
Absolutely. And here's what's funny.
I have my son.
Yeah.
He's my biggest inspiration. I live for him and for other people, that's living with lupus.
And this is what's funny. It's funny that you said it, you worded it this way, but then it's a good contradiction. You said they really can't do anything for you, and I know what you mean. Physically,
yes.
They can't cure it, they can't medically change it, but and this is what I want people to hear, just being there, right? It meant everything. And that's what actually keeps you going. Right. So for all of you that are watching who may have a loved one who's stricken with something that's debilitating, you heard her say that their presence alone is what kind of kept you going. So 25 years later, even though they couldn't do anything, they did everything. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Just by being there.
Just by being there. Being a listening ear, a shoulder to cry on, just just be there.
It extended your life, right?
Yes.
It gave you hope, reason, and that's what faith is all about.
That's right.
So here's the thing, right? So what we do on the show is we fast forward to the end, and then we work backwards and talk about the diagnosis, what it is, how we can help people. Let's fast forward to the end. What are you doing today? How has this helped you create some type of mission?
We have the nonprofit organization called Lupus Butterflies of Hope.
That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so you have a nonprofit.
Right.
Lupus Butterflies of Hope.
Hope.
Nice, nice. And how do you get this? So where can they support the nonprofit?
LupusButterfliesofHope.org.
LupusButterfliesofHope.org.
And what we do is we help lupus patients find better health care, better doctors, and be able to get disability. Because when you apply for disability, they first deny you.
Always
Always deny you. And they send you to their doctors to make sure that you really sick and disabled, and that's a long process. But the good thing about that is the time you apply, they pay you retro. If everything come back on the up and up, they pay you retro. So in other words, get started. Get started. You know what I mean? Get started. And expect to get denied, and expect to be sent to their doctors to verify what you're saying is true. But that's a nice chunk of change when it do come in, though.
Right. So your organization can help facilitate that process on the first attempt and the second attempt.
Exactly.
Nice.
And we help you find better doctors, be able to afford prescriptions. Because one of my prescriptions years ago was $10,000 a month. I'm like, and it doesn't cure lupus?
It's $10,000 a month on one pill.
And on 30 pills for $10,000 a month. I'm like, y'all can have that because I won't be taking it.
How can somebody afford that? How can you afford it? How can most people afford
it? That's the thing. Y'all want to prescribe these medications for patients that they cannot afford. You know, the cheapest medicine I have is $100 now.
A month. But then you got so many people that have to take so many. And as you know, the whole thing is capitalism, and there's no money in the cure. The money is in the maintenance. And oh my goodness, $10,000 a month
for 30 pills.
That's almost
and I had to do a whole lot of research and get funding and be able to get this medication for free. But that was years ago. I'm not even on that medication.
So you can help people get that type of thing done?
Exactly.
Man, give the website one more time.
LupusButterfliesofHope.org. I talk more with other lupus patients and give them hope, tell them my story, because there are a lot who want to give up and say they don't, they haven't even gone through half of the stuff I've been through, and they are ready to just, some even talk of suicide because they're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
And I get that because I get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
But I have to keep pushing until I can't push anymore.
Good. So you don't even realize how many lives you're saving, and by this time this thing plays and replays. And the good thing what I like about the show is we're creating assets, right? So these assets live forever. You're changing lives, you're giving them hope, you are a walking embodiment of what perseverance looks like. Let's talk about the day you go to the doctor. What was happening that made you say something's not right? Before you even knew what it was, what was happening?
Right. Okay, my son, I had him early, and I was going back and forth to the hospital breastfeeding. And one night, I started hemorrhaging. And somehow I made it to my parents' room and collapsed. And my brother was home from college, and he picked me up and put me in the car, and my mom rushed me to Cobb County Hospital. And there I had to receive a blood transfusion. And my mom kept telling me, don't get the blood transfusion. Something is not sitting well with me with this. But, you know, the doctors were like, this is the only way we're going to save her. So I ended up getting the blood transfusion, not knowing it was tainted with lupus.
Wow, I didn't know that. It came as a result of a blood transfusion due to, okay, got it.
Right.
Got it.
So when my son was about 6 months old, I was giving him a bath and I was carrying him to the room and my hands started turning and locking, and it was the most awful pain I have ever felt. I had almost dropped him, so I kind of ran to the room and kind of let him roll out my hand onto the bed.
Turning, literally?
Turning. My fingers and everything just turning, locking.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this is odd. So, I really didn't think anything of it, but I was like, let me call my gynecologist and let her know. And she made an appointment with me, and I went in. They drew lab, and she said it'll take 2 weeks to come back. So I waited 2 weeks, and she called me in and sent me to a rheumatologist next door with the results. And he said, bring someone with you. I'm like, bring someone with me? So I'm thinking, okay, this can't be good if he's telling me to bring someone with me. So I called my mom, and she came, and we waited patiently, and he came out and he got us and took us to his office. And he was like, I don't know how to tell you this, but you've been diagnosed with mixed connective tissue disease, which is lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and osteoporosis. I'm like, what? All at once. So, and he began to explain what lupus was. And when he said that your life is going to be cut short, most people die 10 years after diagnosis. And I remember sinking down into the seat, and I'm like, okay, I just had a baby, and he's telling me I'm not going to be here to raise my son. I was like, it was just too much. And then that's when I fell into a depression for about 3-4 months. And like I said earlier, it took my mom to bring me out of it. Then you got your son to think about. You have to fight.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what I did. And I've been fighting hard ever since.
Now let's talk. We're going to define fight also. But let me tell you this, man. So people who go through way less stay depressed for way longer. And you know what I mean? When you sit up here like, I was depressed, and I'm listening for the time frame for about 3 or 4 months, I'm like, well, you deserve way longer than that. But for you to come out of that depression within 3 to 4 months, and I've had so many people sit on this show, and the encouraging words of a loved one flip the switch. You are like the 10th person, probably the 50th person to say, after talking to my mother, you know what I mean? After talking to my father, after talking to a loved one, they said one thing that flipped the script for you. And I want everybody watching to always remember that words have power. Thoughts are things. Your thoughts create your words create your actions become your habits, and your habits determine your destiny.
Exactly.
And if you missed it, thoughts are things. Thoughts become your words create your actions create your habits, and your habits determine your destiny. So you went from negative thinking to positive thinking, and your son, who was not even born, was born prematurely, is now 24.
24.
And you were told that 24 years ago. What does it mean to fight? Let's talk about fighting. Does it mean taking care of yourself? What does it mean when you say I gotta fight? How do we fight?
For me, it's mental.
Okay.
It's how I think that determines everything. How I overcome being sick all the time, and my son.
Absolutely.
I have to live for Jamie.
So I had Junior from the Steve Harvey Morning Show. He sat with me and we did an interview. And he was born with sickle cell. And he was talking about how when you feel like your days are numbered, you live totally different, right? What like those of us who've never been given a number of days to live, we take stuff for granted. What do you do now that you know that your days have been numbered, even though they've been numbered now for 24 years times 365, you keep on rolling. What do you do different? What do you do different now? Like small stuff don't bother you, of course.
No,
what
of
else
course
would
not.
you tell a person?
I'm happy all the time.
Awesome.
I love my friends. I love my family. They keep me going. And, you know, just in prayer.
Right.
I have to, because my mom is an evangelist, so I gotta pray. And that is not going for anything else.
Right, right.
So it's my faith in God, because I know it's by Him that I'm still here.
Right. So,
because I could be gone.
Absolutely.
Because I've been out of here more than once.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. So, before I make the mistake, those that don't know, you may hear me call her Vogue. That was my nickname for her in high school 30 years ago, because she looked like a member in Vogue then, and still like a member in Vogue now. So my nickname for her was Vogue. So if you hear me say Tomeka, Meek, or Vogue, still the same person. All right. So Vogue. Talk to me about people take things for granted. They take life for granted. The first thing out your mouth was, I'm happy, right? Negative people, man, the people that drain you, we all need to understand the value of weeding those people out of your life, right? Talk to me about when the first thing out your mouth was, I'm happy. That means you stay away from what?
Negativity.
Any kind.
Any kind. Because that plays a part in my health also.
Absolutely.
If I think negative or be negative, that's when I get sick. And I don't have time to get sick.
At all. And I want people to understand.
Because I want to live.
Yeah, even without a pre-existing condition, I want people to hear this. If negativity, a negative environment, a negative loved one, a negative spouse, negative words can flare up something that you've been given, what that means is, even though we may not have been diagnosed with anything, that negative environment can still flare something up.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And I want people to hear that. It's not like I once heard and read, and it's a fact that all of us, for example, have cancerous cells. But when you stress, and when you're around negativity, and when you worry, you weaken your immune system.
Right.
And those cancerous cells are allowed to live and thrive. Right. Whereas if you stay positive, you watch things like the Instincts PONDCast, you come around some water, you get with nature, you hang around positive people.
Tranquility.
Cancer don't stand a chance.
Right.
Dis-ease can't function in a body that can withstand it. You know.
Exactly.
So you said go ahead.
And you also have to, you know, with lupus patients, there's certain things that we are no longer allowed to eat. Like, I have to have my INR check. I can only have like green stuff, leafy foods, green vegetables, maybe twice a week. That's it. And if I eat more, then it weakens my immune system, and I'm more susceptible to getting pneumonia, the flu, and colds that last longer than the normal person.
Right.
With me, I end up in the hospital.
Understood.
On a lot of antibiotics, a lot of pain medication, and just
it's not worth this. You gotta stay. You gotta do what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
You gotta do what you're supposed to do. And
eat healthy, and I've learned to. I never used to like drinking water, but now I drink a lot of alkaline water.
Let's have a sip real quick. Let's have a quick.
You know, this apple juice today.
They got you on apple juice.
Keep my hospital.
Here I am leading by a bad example with bottled water. But so I want to say this too. I was so touched. We scheduled this 2 months ago.
Right. And I ended up getting sick.
And she was in the hospital. We scheduled it at the beginning of the week. Of course, the podcast is weather contingent. We look at the weather. We see we got 3 or 4 days of sun. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. I'm like, I gotta get Vogue to sit down with me and show people what perseverance looks like. You call my assistant back and you had cancer. Because because you were in the hospital. Tell people what lupus is. We kind of jumped to it, but it's because I know people with it. I know it's an autoimmune system deficiency.
Yes, that's where the body turns on itself. It no longer recognizes good cells from bad cells, so everything is went crazy. Your immune system is just out of balance, out of touch, don't know whether it's coming or going.
Makes sense. And that's the one thing that fights off all the disease and infection.
Right.
So if your immune system don't know what it's doing, your body's always fighting. And it don't have to.
Right.
Right, I see what you're saying. So
it's a tug of war. I'm having to fight daily with my own body. It's a daily thing to fight with my own body. Like sometimes during the winter months, people with lupus cannot adapt to cold weather. That's when we're sick the most because our immune system is suppressed more in the wintertime. And, we spend more time in the hospital with pneumonia and flus that we cannot get rid of on our own with just regular over-the-counter medications. We have to have tubes and coming out our necks, our arms, our stomach, everything, just to
it has to be treated differently. So you told me that in one episode, and I'm going to misquote you, and I want you to correct me. You had 2 heart attacks.
No, I had 3 heart attacks, a stroke, and a seizure all at the same time.
Where were you when this happened?
I was at Piedmont Hospital in the ER. That night, I'll never forget that night. It was so crazy. That night I passed away. And I actually saw my body come up out of my body. And I can, believe it or not, I was floating over my body.
I believe it.
And I can see everybody, the doctors in the room, my mom, my husband, and even Nabia. She was there, and they had to walk her out of the room because she just went hysterical.
And this is you seeing this. She wasn't there physically. This is what you saw.
Everyone was there physically, but this is what I saw when I left my body.
Really? So everybody was there physically, including Nabia, who's one of our colleagues, friend of ours, your best friend. So they were actually there.
They were there.
But your spirit, you remember your spirit leaving and seeing it.
Seeing it. Really? Exactly. And I couldn't believe it, but it was true. It was true. And I started falling to hell. I was falling to hell. And all I can see was a bunch of souls reaching up and screaming, help me, Lord, help me. And then a bright light appeared. And an arm reached down and picked me up. And it was God. And he cradled me like a baby and placed me back into my body.
And you remember that like it was yesterday?
I remember it like it was yesterday.
How long ago was that roughly? 3 years, 5 years, 10 years?
It was about 5 years ago.
5 years ago. I have a cousin, shout out to Beane, that I highly respect when he talks about religion and spirituality. And you just confirmed something that he told me. He actually said you go through hell to get to heaven. Now, I'm not here to argue it because I can't debate it. But some would argue that this is hell.
Right.
Isn't that crazy? And from what you're visualizing, you're basically telling me that that's how it is. You went through hell and then you got caught. Can you give me some more? What did the hand feel like? Did anybody say anything?
It was no words. It was just, it was so comforting. It was peaceful.
Wow.
Like it's just a peace that just, it's hard to describe, but it was just comforting and peaceful.
I can only imagine it being difficult to describe, so I won't even ask.
And the light, the bright light, is like no light you've never seen. Never seen. The light was so bright and so beautiful.
So when you get placed back in the physical world, do you remember the transition back?
Yes.
What happened? So he grabs you, he places you back into your body. Now what happens now? Do you hear us again?
I no longer hear anything.
Okay.
It was complete silence, and I was on life support, and in a coma for a month. And my mom and my husband at the time was talking about removing me, but my husband didn't agree, because I had always told him if something like that was to ever happen, give me enough time. Give me enough time to come back.
Freeze. I know I'm interrupting the show, but we got to pay some bills. This segment was sponsored by Monetize Your Message. Now, what is that? Well, we show you how to turn life's tribulations into celebrations. There are millions of people who've been through exactly what you're going through. The difference is we turn your life, which is an asset, into your message, which is an investment. Huge difference. Guys, I have the frameworks, formulas, and 7-figure fundamentals to show you how to monetize your message and help people all over the world. Visit howtomonetizeyourmessage.com. That's howtomonetizeyourmessage.com, because your story belongs to you, but your message belongs to the world. Now enjoy the remainder of the episode.
And if I don't, then go ahead and remove me.
In your estimation, what's enough time?
A month.
At least a month.
At least a month.
And you were at that month?
And I was at that month. And I woke up. I'll never forget it. I woke up. I was strapped down because I was told I was fighting and kicking and punching the whole way while they was trying to, put things in my throat and down everything. And I woke up and my intestines was sitting outside my stomach. Yes. They had it uncovered. And I was still strapped down, and I was looking around, and then a nurse came in, and she saw me with my eyes open, and she just dropped everything and screamed and ran out the door and said, "She's alive, she's alive, she's alive." And I'm like, huh? Because I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, what she mean I'm alive?
Yes, you've been out 30 days.
And the next thing I know, it's like a dozen doctors and nurses coming in, asking me questions like I can really answer them.
Of course.
I'm like, y'all need to talk to me and tell me what's going on, because
I'm back.
I'm back. So I'm like, they was like, blink, for blink once for no, blink twice for yes,
So you can still comprehend words and understand, and
because
you didn't lose any.
Yeah, because when I was in the hospital, let me go back. When I had died, I was in my room in the bathroom. The nurse so happened came in and found me already gone in the bathroom on the floor.
Oh,
that's where it started.
You weren't in the bed. When this happened, when you experienced
I was just in the hospital for
normal, right?
Yes.
But I'm saying you weren't in the bed, and it wasn't it. You actually passed away in the bathroom.
Right.
That's how they found you.
That's how they found me.
They actually pronounced you
dead.
Called the time. Okay, wait a minute.
They brought me back. I died again. Brought me back. Died again. Brought me back.
So they called the time. They resuscitate you. So you've been resuscitated more than once. Why they keep calling the time if you still got some life left? I guess they have to.
Yeah.
Don't be upset with me, medical people. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
So they brought you back. Do you remember? Did anything happen? Like, is your memory of things that happened prior to that incident? Is it still there?
No, a lot of my memory has been erased, and that was one of their things that when I woke up, they didn't know if I was going to have brain damage, but I didn't. I just lost, some years of certain things. Yeah,
hey,
like my childhood. Yeah, like my childhood, a lot of stuff. But lately, things been slowly coming back to me.
That makes sense. Isn't the human body amazing?
Right. Yes.
When you really think about it, it's really amazing that here's what's ironic.
God knew what he was doing when he made us.
Correct. And this is ironic. You have a immune deficiency where your body fights. fix itself.
So,
But between the combination of God and your belief and your family and support and this body, it fought to come back.
It fought hard.
It fought hard to come back. Isn't that amazing? It's kind of an oxymoron, but your body fights itself, but the other forces, God, nature, support, family, friends, and you fought enough to overpower it to bring you back.
That's right.
That's what you call girl. You said you was gonna cry. Give me a second. I'm so serious. That is, so now you have a second chance at life. What do you feel like the second chance was for?
Live, fight, inspire others to fight harder, and just believe in God, because He's there. All you have to do is call His name. He sees and He knows everything, because He created us. And I'm a strong believer that He created our body to be able to heal itself.
Absolutely.
And that's how I think.
We destroy it.
Yeah.
We destroy it.
Yeah. We destroy our own bodies with the way we eat and our mental health, which plays a big part.
What kind of conversation do you have with your son about, do you have a tough conversation? Mommy may not be here. Mommy, have you ever had that?
I tried to have this conversation with my son many times, but he does not want to hear it. Him and my brother takes it the hardest.
I get that.
I remember one time I was rushed to the hospital and my brother's wife called and she's like, "Girl, your brother is outside on the side of the house, boo-hoo, crying about you." I was like, "Oh, what he crying for? I'm the one need to be crying." I'm the one sick. What he crying for?
What he crying about? Yeah, it's so, but it's just
I was like, just tell him he know his big sister gonna be all right.
Yeah, you have shown.
And I always do.
So, daily basis. Walk me through your daily basis. You wake up.
I take my medicine.
Okay, so give me like the 5 steps in a day in the life of somebody as strong as you.
When I wake up every morning, I touch my prayer cloth that I sleep with over my bed. I have to sleep with my prayer cloth because that's the cloth that my mom blessed and that my sister had wrapped around my head when I was, in the hospital that time 5 years ago. And I would cook breakfast, take my medicine, and this is the thing. I used to be on 24 different medications 2 and 3 times a day.
Each session?
Each session.
Used to be, keyword.
Used to be.
So now what's happening?
I'm on probably maybe, let's see, I have to take my heart medicine, my lung medicine, and muscle relaxer pain medicine. Maybe 5 pills a day now.
Is it
and
that?
3 of them is as needed.
As needed.
As
Absolutely.
needed. But the heart and lung medication, I have to take.
It's a must.
It's a must.
So is it that? Do we wean ourselves off of it? Is your body responding well?
I wean myself off all that medication.
By doing what?
I just slowly tapered myself down because I got tired of taking it. And I'm like, it's not doing anything. It's not, I will get prescribed this medication for this, and then I'll have to take something else to combat that. And it just kept going and going and going. And it was bothering my stomach so much. I was constantly throwing up every time I take all of this medication, and I would be weak and I would be tired and just couldn't get out of bed every day, do what I wanted to do because I'm taking all of this medicine and I'm always medicated, and I didn't like being drugged up and medicated, not knowing what's going on around me every day. So I took it upon myself to slowly taper myself off everything. And I told all my doctors what I was doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my rheumatologist, he was like, okay, you know your body. We're going to listen at you and do what you want us to do.
Sound like a good doctor. Sound like a good doctor, as opposed to trying to tell you, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. You're like, look, I'm basically living in a state of misery. Let me see.
Right.
Yeah. I've already proven I'm resilient.
Exactly.
So, Vogue, when's the book? When's the movie? When's the documentary? What can we release to give some people some inspiration?
I'm having a hard time still writing my book. I'm still in the process of writing because, like I said, a lot of my memory is gone. So I'm having to call my family and friends and ask them, to help me remember things. And I write it down, or I record my voice and then I write it down.
Well, let's make that happen. Okay, if there's anything I can do to help you, I just, and I'm not an author, I just mean any connections or any resources that are mine are yours, because I feel like this story that continues to progress and grow, you keep giving it life, is something that needs to be documented, because you are a shining example of resilience. You look amazing.
Thank you.
It feels like, I was telling you about it because I didn't want it to be a sad or an emotional discussion.
I love talking about it.
Yeah.
I love telling my story, even, because I want to be able to help others, who's in that mindset of giving up. Don't give up.
Absolutely.
You can't give up.
Well, if I had a butterfly as a prop, I would have it out there for you. I always ask, if I can remember, if you had to relate to one animal before we go in life,
it would be a butterfly.
Would it be the butterfly?
It would be a butterfly.
And why?
Because the butterfly actually represents lupus. Because in the summertime, we get the butterfly rash wings on our cheeks.
Really? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Automatically. It's a common thing.
It's a common thing.
But
actually, it's called, wolf for some reason. Okay. But it's actually a butterfly rash.
Okay. So as far as butterfly, the animal, you got any parallels you can draw? As the Instincts PONDCast and me doing these animal trainings, any parallels we can draw with the butterfly itself? Why you choose that? He definitely represents freedom.
Right.
She definitely represents beauty.
Right.
I guess I'm making up my own training as we speak. Definitely represents beauty and freedom and
resilience.
Resilience. It's so small, but it seems like it just takes
Continue
the wind,
to fly.
whatever is given. And
that's
just
right.
handles it.
And handle it very well. Handle it very well. And keep flying.
Hey, let me tell you something, man. First of all, let me give you a hug. You need an interview. Oh my goodness. Well, all I know is I'm inspired. I hope the viewers are too. This episode, of course, is sponsored by Monetize Your Message, because we believe that your story belongs to you, but your message belongs to the world. I'm trying to tell you. This is Tomeka Waye. I'm the only person that can call her Vogue, and she for 30 years now, so you can't take my nickname. And all I'm telling you is, I think a lot of people are going to start understanding the value of living day to day. I mean, living each day, not day to day. Living each day to their fullest.
To their fullest.
Stop the complaining. Let's change your environment. Let's take care of our bodies. Let's get anybody that's not in your corner out of the ring. Period. All right. I love you, girl.
Love you too, Beane.
And great job. Great job. Woo! Girl, you
I
good.
still have more to say.
Wait, hold on. We got bonus footage. Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Anything we left out, man, I want to talk more about this spirit leaving the body.
Okay.
Can you add anything to that? Like, is there anything that you remember or anything you want to say? But I want to make sure I don't leave anything after that. You actually passed away.
I actually passed away, and I saw my body, my spirit leaving my body. And I thought, this is it. I'm going home to glory. My job here is done.
And you saw the people in the hospital room.
And I saw
from
everyone,
a different.
But I was the one floating around in the room. Seeing all the activity going on.
And hell is real.
And hell is real. Believe me, it is real.
You saw fire?
I saw fire and souls burning and screaming for God to come help them, to come save them.
It wasn't nobody we knew, was it? No, I'm just talking.
I didn't see any faces.
I'm just saying. must a lot of people made it to the top, didn't they? Okay.
I didn't see any faces. All I saw was just fire and hell and arms, and I heard the screams of the souls begging God to save them, to come help them. And then when the light appeared and his arm reached out, and the more they screamed, and they kept grabbing at me, trying to pull me back down.
Really?
And
as he's getting you out, they trying to keep you in?
They trying to hang on to me.
Right, yeah. Like we got.
They want to be saved too. But it just wasn't my time.
Absolutely not.
It just was not my time.
So what else you want to add? You said you want to add something. I could talk about that part forever, but I mean, it's only so much. It's a different realm, so you probably can't describe it so much. Like Brian, I don't know. So I don't want to keep belaboring the point, but
yeah.
What else?
But with lupus, it comes with a lot of challenges, daily, and it all depends on how you think. And I have to constantly remind myself that, Tomeka, you're here for a reason, you're here for a purpose. You have to motivate yourself. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. Keep moving, keep pushing, keep surviving. You have more lives to touch. You still have a story. Your story has not ended.
And each day you're trying to figure out, not even trying to figure out, you're making sure you walk in that light so you don't waste any time. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. What about work? I mean, like, are you working right now? Or
no.
You're not allowed, you can't?
I'm legally disabled, and I get disability monthly. But I can work, but part-time. But I've been out of work for so long.
Right,
so,
yeah.
And I used to be a medical biller and coder. Very good at it. Very good at it. Okay. But I'm hoping to get back into it soon.
I was going to say, when I asked that question, I'm like, this girl don't need no stress. You don't need the stress of that stuff, man.
But medical and billing,
I didn't know that.
Easy.
I'm talking about work. Like, work, like just the stress of people. We need to keep you. I need to wrap you up in my little bubble of positivity. So I gotta keep that. So yeah, I figured full-time employment would be a stretch, and I understand that.
I mean, just being a speaker and helping others is full-time for me. And it's something I love to do and love to talk about, because I know it, I live it each and every single day.
Donate. If you know somebody with lupus, contact
Tomeka Waye at 770-361-8716.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. You want these people to call you?
Yes. I have no problem talking to someone.
This thing, and don't be calling her for the wrong reasons.
Exactly. Do not call for the wrong reasons.
That's your cell, or at least give me your Google voice. That's your cell?
That's my cell.
All right, we're gonna have you call.
I want to talk to the person one-on-one.
Let me not stop your flow. I got it.
One-on-one.
All right, let's do it. Well, hey, we got Tomeka Waye is in the building. We appreciate you. Love you again.
Thank you.
All right, good.